Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah khila ni'matul islami wa kafa biha ni'ma. All praise and gratitude be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on his blessing of Islam, which suffices as a blessing. So I'd like to welcome you on this 18th para, which we're going to begin today, and we'll do Surah Mu'minun and complete that, 118 ayahs over here. A Makkan surah, so you can see the style over here. Mu'min, obviously we all know the meaning, is a believer, and the difference between a Muslim and a Mu'min again has been emphasized before. A Muslim is someone who follows the basic rituals, which is recites the kalma, observes the pillars, the salat, the zakat, fasting, while Mu'min is the one in whose heart the faith has entered. So that's the difference between, this is a higher category over here. Now what we see over here is, this is a very, this ayah Surah Mu'minun was revealed at a time when some people who had accepted Islam, the Makkan Muslims, they were there, but their wealth reduced, their prosperity reduced, and they were living in very difficult state. So apparently this faith and this iman that came in seemed to have increased their worldly losses. And it is in this backdrop that this whole surah is being revealed. So just think about the condition of Muslims. They were rich, they were prosperous, they were doing well in life, and then Islam came in and they converted, and suddenly they lost all this prosperity and all these difficulties went in. And with this, the first ayah over here, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Qad aflahal mu'minun. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, indeed successful are the believers. Now in Arabic, this word falah is generally used for worldly success, which means you have plentiful, you have well-being, and this is the meaning of falah. But Quran says over here, successful are the believers. If that's the meaning, then the ground reality was considerably different, because we see people like Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, they were much more prosperous, they were really having a fine time, enjoying their life, and Muslims in difficulty. But when we look at Quran, and when Quran speaks about success, it points to complete success. And that really is not possible in this world, because even the most rich, the most powerful, one, they will not have all that they desire, and number two, no matter what they have, the pain, the depression, the uncertainties, the loneliness is part of being a human being. So falah is only something which is total bliss, and that I think is only will be there in paradise, in Jannah. And for getting this, people really need to focus on one thing, and that is their ruh. Now, since ruh is wrapped up in our bodies, it's out of sight, and as they say, out of sight, out of mind, it's a bit out of mind. And because we focus more on our bodies, which will remain in this earth, and not enough on the ruh, which will actually go to heavens, and that's where we will get falah in paradise, because that's where the ruh came in from, and that's where it's going to go back. So those people who turn their attention from the wrapping, which is the body part of what we have, into what is inside, such people get falah. Now, who focuses on purifying those? These are those people who focus on purifying the ruh, that he is successful who purifies it. That's what Quran says at another place. He is successful who purifies it, which means someone who purifies his ruh, he will be successful. And unsuccessful is the one who suffocates it. So it's all the intention. That's what success Quran talks about. Now we go forward. How do we really purify ruh? And then from here to the 9th ayah of Surah Mu'minun is, how do you purify your ruh? Allazina hum fi salatihim khashi'un, those who concentrate their attention in humbleness when offering prayers. So this is what revitalizes ruh. This is what makes our ruh strong. When we are praying, a fear in our heart, and that fear in our heart is due to the azmat of Allah. And the effect of that fear, the effect of that azmat is felt on our bodies. And what Quran and what our Prophet ﷺ has emphasized is, when you are in a state of prayer, be calm, be still when you are praying. Unnecessary movement is disliked. Be mindful in whose presence we are in. When we are in prayer, remember we are in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the mightiest of the mighty. Now, for a prayer, be in that frame of mind to offer prayer as soon as you hear the azan. When azan is called, start having that frame of mind. You hear the azan, you reply the azan, you do the wuzu. When you start the wuzu, you say Bismillah, and with attention you do the wuzu, and then don't delay the namaz. Not only that you don't delay the namaz, but also do not rush in the arkan of namaz. Do the ruku, do the sajda in a proper way. be calm over there. And please remember that there is a special attention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we are standing in prayer and we are in front of Him. And those who keep themselves away from vain things, lagh is the word being used over here. Those people who keep away from lagh, which means useless talk, useless activities which have nothing beneficial, but what we call waste of time and also open sin. Now, obviously, avoid sinful deeds, and not only sinful deeds, but even sinful environment, sinful friends, even sinful societies, because the filth of immorality is going to make our soul sick. Like the filth of this world will make our body sick because of the germs and the bacteria and the viruses that are there over here. Similarly, the filth of immorality will make our soul sick. And we need to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that our entertainment be in useful things. Now, if namaz and if reading Quran becomes our entertainment, you can imagine how nice and beneficial that would be. Who practice zakah, which means practice zakah means, the zakah means to purify something, right? That's the literal meaning of the word. So purify your wealth by giving zakat. It's like taking the weeds out of the garden so that the garden can flourish. Because if the weeds are too much in the garden will not flourish no matter how much water you give to it. And who guard their private part except from their wives or those whom their right hands possess, for then they are free from blame. So in relationship between man and women, there are two extreme views in this world. There are the views of the Christian priests and the monks who completely shun this desire, or the other is people who have no religion. They just want to fulfill this desires without any responsibility with anyone, with everyone who desires. Islam gives a balance. Islam says, well, this is a need. This, like hunger is a need. This too is a need. Therefore, Islam shows us a responsible way, and that responsible way is the way of nikah. However, those who seek beyond, they are the transgressors. So here the limit is being given over here. The limit within permissible relationship of a husband and a wife, and that's being talked about in this ayah. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِأَمَانَاتِهِمْ وَعَهْدِهِمْ رَاؤُونَ. And success is attained by those who honestly look after their trust and covenant. So the next thing is to protect their trust. All that Allah has given us, it is a trust with us. All the faculties we have, the wealth that we have, the well-being that we have, these are put in our trust. We are not the owners. Allah has given these things to us for a short period of time. And as a result, we shouldn't really do khiyanat in anything, which means we shouldn't really use them in any other way other than what the owner has ordained for us. Because these are entrusted things that Allah has entrusted with us. Now also please remember, while I talked about faculties and wealth and other things, but even small things, remember even this in small, like if somebody shares your secret with you, somebody comes in and tells his secret to you, this too is an amanat for you. Then Quran also talked about le'amanate wa ahdihim raun, and also talked about ahads. What are ahad? These are promises. So fulfill your promises. If you tell someone, I'm going to give you a call, give them a call. If you tell someone, I'm going to come to your home, do go to their home at that time, because that's also a promise that you will be held accountable for. So don't do khiyanat in resources that have been entrusted to you. If you are in a position of power, do not make misdeclarations for making small financial gains, like people do in showing in their entertainment expenses and medical expenses, etc. In fact, there's a hadith from our Prophet ﷺ where our Prophet said, he has no deen who has no regard for trust. And he has no deen, I'll do this ayat again, this hadith again. Our Prophet ﷺ said that he has no iman, the one who has no regard for trust, and he has no deen who has no regard for his promise and commitment. So neither iman and deen for people who are untrustworthy and people who break their promises and commitments, and who consistently observe their prayers. Now, begin with salat. This whole surah began with salat, and now it ends with salat. This is the 9th ayat, like I said. Now, that if we do all what came in between, which is protecting, not doing khiyanat on the things that have been given to us, being honest, purifying our wealth, etc. And if we do all that, then we have actually done, this is the hifazat, this is how our namaz is going to be protected. This is what will protect our namaz. So hifazat of what? Hifazat of our intentions, hifazat of our time, hifazat of wuzu, the pakizgi of our dress, etc. Those are the inheritors. And Quran says these are the people who will have virasat. Now, when we think of virasat is like inheritors. They get a share, the heir gets a share in the inheritance. But what is necessary to get inheritance, or what is necessary to be a waris? Well, the first and the foremost and the only thing is that we must have a relationship with someone with whom we become the inheritors or waris of that. Therefore, if our relationship exists with what is stated earlier, all these things, which is salat and zakat and being on our commitment, then such people will become waris of what? They will get a share of paradise. Who will inherit Firdaus, which is the paradise, and they will abide in it forever. So Allah has, you can think of this, how much Allah has given izzat to this dust, to this earth, that He lifted this earth from here and made it enter into paradise. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ سُلَالَةٍ مِنْ طِينٍ, and we have created man from an extract of clay. So man is made from salala, this word that used over here, min salalatin min teen, that it is salala is what? Salala is literally the khulasa, the essence of the teen. Teen is earth. So this is the essence of the earth. Now the source of sustenance of man, because he's made from this earth, from the khulasa of this earth, is from this earth. So all that we eat comes from this earth. The essence is taken by man. The best part of the food is taken by man. And we made him, then we made him a sperm drop in a firm resting place. So Hazrat Adam alayhi salam was created from the best extract or the sulala of this earth, and after him the earth, which is the teen, is converted into a nutfa, which then becomes the source of all creation. Now, why would Allah do that? So that the birth of people creates these blood relationships. These blood relationships are so important for us. Our parents, our children, our brothers, our sisters, our extended families, these relationships bring peace of mind for us. They are so important for our emotional fulfillment. They are so important for our protection. And this is how these relationships are created in this world. Then we turned up the sperm drop into a clot, then we turned the clot into a lump of flesh, and then we turned the lump of flesh as bones. Then we clothed the bones with flesh. Thereafter we developed it into another creation. So glorious is Allah, the best of the creators. So stages of creation being described over here. At some point in time the ruh is blown in, and this lifeless lump reaches from such a low level to such an exquisite creation. Then after all this, you must surely die. So after passing through so many stages of creation, the Rabb who created now also causes it to return back to the same earth. Such is the creativity of Allah. Then surely on the day of resurrection, you will be raised. The same way He caused them to raise, the first time, the same way He will cause to raise them again on the day of judgment. Like in this world, we need things for a comfortable life. To lead a comfortable and a good life, we need wealth, we need possession, we need wisdom, we need health. Similarly, we will need all these things in the hereafter. But there's a difference. And the difference is that in this world, Allah gives people according to their taqdeer. We had a lottery of a womb that we got born in the right family, right? It wasn't anything of our doing. So this is according to taqdeer. But in the hereafter, one has to earn. We need to invest now for the hereafter, because it's this investment in the hereafter that will give us a return in the later life. And just think of how much effort, we do for this world. And this is a short life. And how much effort we need to do for the hereafter. Because for the hereafter, we always assume Allah is merciful. Well, certainly Allah is merciful, but Allah will also look at the amount of effort that we did to reach to paradise. And certainly we created above you 7 parts, which means 7 parts of heavens, and we are never neglectful of the creation. So after bringing all of us in this world, Allah is not ghafil. He will never neglect His creation. He does not become ghafil of his creation. He protects us in so many different ways. If there is no protection of Allah, then this life in this earth will be impossible. And we send down water from the sky in due measure. Then we lodge them in the earth, and of course, we are able to take it away. Now think about water, just water itself. Hydrogen and oxygen combine together to form water. Hydrogen by itself, the nature of hydrogen is it's an explosive gas. We know the nature of oxygen, it helps in burning. But when they two combine together, hydrogen and oxygen, the property is that they extinguish fire, completely opposite from what their whole nature is. Now, and look at the helplessness of people. We cannot even store water, let alone create water or make water. Allah made arrangement for this fresh water to be stored in giant tanks on the mountains and then release them in due measure in rivers and spring. And Allah also shows, Allah says, we are able to take it back. Allah shows how weak people are by making us experience these droughts and these floods. Little excess and little shortage can be so destructive for people. Then we produce with it gardens of date palm and wine. For you there are many fruits in them, and of them you eat. With water, so many different fruits, so many different flavors, so many vegetables. It's unimaginable that the same water is producing so different qualities of fruit in such quantity. And a tree that grows on Mount Sinai, which produces oil and relish for those who eat. So this is referring to Tur Sina, which is the Sinai Peninsula, famous for its olives. It is said that after the great flood of Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam, the first tree that was to grow in this area was the olive tree. And olive oil is so beneficial as a food as well as a medicine. Now, this is such a qudrat of Allah. Just think about this qudrat of Allah. Just think about oil. Look at the qudrat of Allah. There is no oil in the land, but olive is full of oil. There is no oil in the bark. There is no oil in the leaves. Now, can you imagine a man making a machine in which we just put the earth, the dust, and put water inside it? On one side and the other side, that machine gives us oil? Unthinkable to have this kind of a machine, but olive tree does that. It produces such huge quantity of olive oil that is there while the land has no oil inside it. And most surely there is a lesson in the cattle for you. We give you drink from that which is in their bellies, and for you there are many benefits in them, and of them you eat. So the reminder of milk, which is a complete diet, variety of uses, that is, milk has so many different uses for people. And then when milk is produced, look at the way it is produced. No pollution. No pollution in producing milk. Even the waste of the animal, which actually the cattle which produce the milk, that becomes an organic fertilizer. And on them and on the boats you are transported. Surely we sent Nuh to his nation so that he said, O my people, worship Allah, you have no God other than him, so do you not fear Allah? Now we start on with the history of prophets. We begin with Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam. Both Quran as well as Torah does that. So in Torah, if you read the story of Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam, also in the book of Genesis, it also begins with Hazrat Nuh. First people to indulge in the worship of deities were the Qawm of Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam. That's the nation that he was living in. The first people to worship deities. Now initially these deities were made like statues, and these statues were made of their ancestors. The ancestors of people who were living over there. And they said, we just want to make these statues so that they can become reminder for us. But with passage of time, these very statues or these very deities, they became Mubarak. They said, well, you cannot disrespect them, because disrespecting these deities was disrespecting our forefathers, and that was an ill omen. Then people, in order to make these deities happy, they started to organize rituals around them like niyaz and nazars and all that. And so Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam was then sent as a messenger to bring back people to the worship of Allah, and with the basic message that you have no God other than him, so will you not fear Allah? So said the disbelieving chiefs from among his nations, this man is nothing but a human being like you. He wishes to impose his superiority over you. Had Allah willed, he would have sent down angels. We have not heard of such a thing among our forefathers. So it is the elites, so the disbelieving chiefs from among his nation. It's always the elites who dislike the message more. Why? Why would the elites dislike? Because the elites always have a special privileged position in the society, and they know that if this message is changed, their whole position will be jeopardized. If you even go to a mazar today in any of the cities in Pakistan, you go to any mazar, you will see it's the poor people who are spending their money on these useless mazars. They are poor people. They are the one who are putting chadars over there. They are throwing money over here, and the rich are the one who are benefiting from all this nazar and all this niyaz. And so therefore the purpose of sending the messenger has always been, because shirk is so exploitative, so that this exploitation of the poor people can be stopped. He is only a man possessed, so bear with him for a time. Now the style of objection of these people changed. First they were aggressive, now they want to discredit the messenger. He said, oh, this is a poor man, this is a poor thing. The man must have done something wrong. He may have some kind of a mental illness. So they said, this man is actually possessed, so just bear with him for some time, as if it's a madman. He said, my Lord, help me, for they have rejected me. Now Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam kept preaching the message and prayed for what commandment he received from Allah. Now he's praying, he's saying, these people have rejected me. And what is the commandment that Allah sends him? So we revealed to him, saying, make the ark before our eyes and our revelation. So when our command will come and the oven will gush forth, take a pair from each species along with your family, except those among them against whom the word has already come to pass. And do not speak to me in respect of those who have done wrong. They will surely be drowned. So what Allah commanded, Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam to do? Didn't command him to go protest, do a protest march with all the 80, 90 people that were his followers. No flag burning, no terrorism. What Allah told him? Do something constructive, build an ark. And that building an ark required training. Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam would certainly not know how to make a boat or an ark. So training was required, and Allah said, and Allah did make an ark in front before our eyes and our revelation. So Allah sent revelations of how to make an ark to Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam. Now, the message is, besides prayers, we need to do earnest dua with depth of our heart. We need to pray to Allah, but then also do some constructive work. Do something positive. That's what this ayat is really telling us. So when you and those with you have embarked on the ark, say, praise is for Allah who saved us from the unjust people. So now it's time for hijrat of Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam, the town where Hazrat Nuh was born, the town where he lived, the people that he knew, the friends that he had. He knew that all of them will be drowned, the town will be destroyed. And then he is being asked to say what? فَقُلِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ. Say what? Say that praise be to Allah. What is the praise over here? What praise? I mean, everything is being destroyed, right? All the town is being destroyed, people are being killed, they are drowning. What is the praise over here? That the enemies of Allah is being told, Allah is telling us, they cannot be your friend. If Allah takes us away from the company of such people, this is not a loss, this is also a praise for Allah, that He saves us from these unjust people. وَقُرْ رَبِّي أَنزِلْنِي مُنزَلًا مُبَارَكًا وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الْمُنزِلِينَ. And say, my Lord, make my disembarking a blessed landing, and you are the best to enable us to disembark. Now, this is such an important dua. Allah taught His messenger these duas, and these duas are also for us over here. When we are going to a place, when we are disembarking to a new place, we too need to say this prayer and have a firm belief that our stay in that place will be blessed. Surely there are signs in this, and we do always test people. What are the signs? The signs are that no one is indispensable. No one is indispensable. Entire nation destroyed, but the world kept turning. Neither the world became empty, nor anyone missed that town or those people. Then we raised after them another generation, and we sent among them a messenger from among themselves. Worship Allah, you have no God other than Him, so do you not fear the disbelieving leaders of His nation, and who denied meeting of the hereafter, and whom we had made affluent in the worldly life, said, He is only a mortal like you. He eats what you eat and drinks from what you drink. Now it's always the elite who are few in number, but they always outweigh the masses. Common man just follows and copies what the elite are doing. If you obey a human like yourself, then you will be absolute losers. Does he promise you that when you die and are turned into dust and bones, that you will be brought forth? Hayhata lima tu'adun, far too improbable is what you are being promised. In hiya illa hayatuna dunya namutu wa nahya wa ma nahnu bimabuthin, and there is nothing but our life in this world. We die and live, and we will not be raised again. Now, this itself is a philosophy. This itself is a deen. And this normally is a deen of people who are in power. The leaders in science, the leader in philosophy, the people, the top intelligentsia, the top people in business, they normally have this belief that there is nothing but the life of this world. And it's a very dangerous belief, because this is kind of a belief makes people extremely ruthless. In fact, if you look at the Darwin's theory that, the survival of the fittest, it comes in from exactly the same thing which Quran is describing over here. If there is no fear of audit in a company, those in power will do what they please. He is nothing but a man who has forged a lie against Allah, and we are not going to believe in him. He said, my Lord, help me, for they have rejected me. He, which means Allah, said, in a little while, they will have to be remorseful. So a cry seized them according to the true promise, and we turned them into scum. So away with the wrongdoing people. The word scum, which is a translation of ghusa'a, which is the Arabic word used over here. Ghusa'a means something which is worthless, like the worthless straw that gets collected at the edge of a stream. Then after them, we created another generation. No community can go ahead of its appointed time, nor can they postpone. Thereafter, we sent our messengers successively. Whenever there came to a people their messenger, they rejected him. Then we made some of them follow others in destruction, and we made them stories. So away with the people who do not believe. Thereafter, we will send Moses and his brother Harun with our signs and clear proof towards Pharaoh and his chiefs. But they showed arrogance, and they were haughty people. One of the reasons stated over here for not accepting guidance that was brought by Hazrat Musa alayhi salam and Hazrat Harun alayhi salam was basically pride and arrogance. And why were these people proud? Why was Pharaoh and his chiefs, why were they proud? Because Allah had given them so many ni'mats. So many ni'mats Allah had given. So instead of being thankful of the ni'mats, they assumed that this is our own personal achievement. And that's a very wrong thinking. So they said, shall we believe in two human who are like ourselves and whose people are subjugated to us? So the reason that they are opposing these messengers is that they like them as human, and that these people to whom Hazrat Harun and Hazrat Musa alayhi salam belong, the Bani Israel, they were the slaves. They were the slaves of the Egyptians, so they were the subjugated people. So they rejected both of them and were among those who were destroyed. And certainly we gave Moses the book so that they may take the right path. So the purpose of book being defined over here, being given over here, that the purpose of this book is to seek the right path, to seek guidance. This is not just a book to be read and just read. It's a book to be followed, and that's what is being stated over here. And we made son of Maryam and his mother a sign, and gave them shelter on a lofty place, having a place of rest and running spring. O messengers, eat of the good things and act righteously, and I am fully aware of what you do. So this ayat also instructing us and the messengers, good health. Good health is such a great nemat. If you don't have health, well, nothing else matters, right? That's the first thing. Good health is the first thing that is important. And for good health, eat good and wholesome food, halal and tayyib. There may be things that are halal, but may not be tayyib for you. Surely this is a creed, a single creed, and I am your Lord, so fear me. So this is a creed, the doctrine of Islam, and the doctrine of Islam is simple. The basic unity is Tawheed. That's the message of Islam. And this is strengthened by the fear of Allah. This is strengthened by the taqwa. But they split the religion among them into factions, each rejoicing in their own factions. So people then, made groups, they made factions in this, they made groups making their own versions of righteousness, just focusing on one part of the deen, considering it to be the whole and complete deen, while it wasn't. and expelling everyone else from Jannat, and said, well, exclusive right are people who follow this faction, and that is what is being narrated over here. So leave them in their negligence for some time, which means leave them what? Leave them means give them time. It doesn't mean stop passing the message to them. It means give them time. Keep giving your message, but also give them time. Do they think that by consistently providing them with wealth and children, we are hastening for them blessing? No, but they do not perceive. Now, this world is not a place of reward and punishment. It is a place of trial. People have this misconception that if someone is going through difficulties, he may have done something wrong and he's now bearing the consequences in this world. Now, sometimes the payback of a sin is that Allah actually punishes people by giving them more comfort and more wealth in this life, and that's what is being told over here, that we hasten for them blessing and they do not perceive. Certainly those who live in awe of their Rabb, fearing. Now people who live in awe of their Rabb or fearing with their Rabb, our Prophet ﷺ said, those people who fast and pray and give sadaqah, even then they are afraid that their effort and their deeds may not be acceptable to Allah because of maybe they have done some lapses, maybe some intention, maybe some things about their part which they have actually overlooked. It is these who hasten in good deed and who compete to excel. Those who believe in the verses of their Lord and those who do not associate any partner with their Lord, and those who give whatever they give with their hearts full of fear, that to their Lord they are to return. Now it's emphasis on giving, give your wealth, give time, give good advice, if nothing else at least smile, give a good smile to someone, and then don't feel self-righteous, have fear. Have fear, have your heart full of fear that may Allah accept that even after giving. Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Anhu used to say that if I come to know that entire mankind has been forgiven except one man, he used to say, I will think that I am that one man. Imagine Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Anhu, his taqwa, and he was already told by Prophet ﷺ that he is a person of paradise. But he used to think that if one man is left, I always fear that I will be that one. Those people are accelerating toward good things, and they are foremost to attain them. Now these people are running towards good things, they're accelerating to good things. Now consider a race. What does a good runner see? A good runner sees is how many people are ahead of me. And this drives him to run faster because he wants to cross and compete with people who are ahead of him. Now, if a runner sees how many people are behind him, he will not exert. He'll say, well, these are anyway behind him, so he will never really exert and run faster. Now, such should be our attitude in this dunya. We see those people who are less than us, and we should be thankful. When in our attitude in our dunya we should look at those people who are less than us, and that we become thankful for what Allah has given. And for akhirat, we look at those people who are ahead of us so that we can excel in good deeds. We do not place a burden on anyone except according to his ability. And with us there is a book which speaks with truth, and they shall not be wrong. Allah knows our potential. Allah knows who has the ability, the capacity, the background, what our challenging circumstances are. And the example of this is very simple. It's like an exam. Like after an exam, a person gets 5 and he passes. And another person gets 7 and he fails. And we'll say, how come? How come this person gets 5 and he passes and the other one gets 7 and he fails? Because the first one got 5 out of 5. He got 100%, so he passed. And the other one who got 7, he got 7 out of 100. So that's the reason that he failed. So the point over here is the handicap of everyone is different. Our environments are different. Our challenges are different. Our capacities are different. So therefore, the more Allah has given us, the higher is our hurdle. The more Allah has given you, you must be, conscious of that your hurdle is much higher. But their hearts are in ignorance about this, and they have other deeds besides those which they are doing. So the attitude of people who are not interested in competing for the hereafter, or those people who may be interested in competing, but they say we want to compete after ignoring the rules of the game. They want to make their own rules for akhirat. Hence they get disqualified. So both these people are unsuccessful. Until when we will seize their affluent ones with punishment, they will suddenly start pleading. Do not plead today. You will not be held by us. So such people never turned to Allah earlier while they were living in this earth, and then on this day, there will be no one there to help them. Those on whom they place their trust will not be able to help themselves, let alone helping others. My verses, and why will not they be held? My verses used to be recited to you, but you used to turn back on your heels in arrogance, like the one telling tales by the night. Then is it that they do not ponder over the word, or has not come to them that did not come to their forefathers? Or did they not recognize their messenger, so they rejected him? Or do they say, he is suffering from madness? No, but he has come to them with truth. But it is the truth that most of them dislike. So the objections are being listed in the last 4 ayahs. All these objections are being listed. Now, how sad that these messengers came calling them to the revelations, and they were not even willing to hear what was being told. Had the truth followed their desire, the heavens and the earth and all those in it would have fallen in true disorder. However, we have brought to them their advice, but it is their advice that they are averse to. So one who makes his desires and follows his desires, obviously these people, when they start to follow their desires, that will cause complete disorder in this world. So if desires is our guides of people, he is bound to be unsuccessful. Or is it that you ask them for remuneration, but the recompense of your Lord is best, and he is best of providers? So no prophet, no messenger is ever looking for any financial gain, any power, any position, any leadership, any benefit to come from delivering the message. On the other hand, they teach such useful things, such beneficial words, and this is given away free. Every prophet, literally every prophet said, I don't need any return from you. My reward is with Allah. And I think there's a message for Muslims also in this. Muslims never made teaching and preaching of deen as a way for earning money. Knowledge of Quran is not a commodity which can be sold and bought. It cannot be priced. And also the fact that it's not just financial gains and others. Don't even expect any return from people, not even a word of appreciation. Surely you are inviting them to the straight path. Those who do not believe in the hereafter are deviating from the path. And if we have mercy on them and remove whatever distress they have, they will still persist in their rebellion, wandering blindly. We have already seized them with punishment, but they did not turn humble to their Lord, nor do they supplicate in humility. Until when we will open against them the gates of severe punishment, they will be taken aback in despair. So when difficulty comes on people, normally it will soften people. People soften and they become much more submissive. Sometimes these difficulties are warning from Allah to check where we are lacking. So some of these difficulties are part of our training program. He is the one who created for you ears and eyes and hearts. Little is that you give thanks. And he is the one who has spread you on the earth, and it is he to whom you will be gathered together. And he is the one who gives life and brings death, and it is he who controls the alternation of night and day. So do you not understand? But they say, as the earlier people had said, they said, is it that when we will die and become dust and bones, is it that we will be raised up again? This is what has been promised to us, to our fathers before. It is nothing but tales of the ancient. Say, whose is the earth and all in it, if you have knowledge? And when this question is asked, سَيَقُولُونَ لِلَّهِ قُلْ أَفَلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ, they will say Allah's. Say, would you not pay heed? This ayat gets repeated again 2 times. Say, who is the Lord of the 7 heavens and the Lord of the great throne? They will say, all belongs to Allah. Say, would you still not fear Allah? Say, who is the one whose hand lies the kingdom of everything, and who gives protection. Against him there is no protection if you have knowledge. They will say, Allah's. Say then, how are you deluded? When you know that there is no safe havens from Allah, then why not flee to Him? There is no place to hide. Leaving Allah, whom are we going to go to? Where are we going to run to? Who else has the power besides Allah? And that's the question is repeatedly being asked in the last 3 ayahs. The fact is, we have brought to them the truth, and they are absolute liars. Allah has not taken a son to Himself, nor is there any God with Him. Had there been so, every God would have taken away what He created, and some of them would have overpowered others. Pure is Allah from what they describe. He is the knower of the hidden and the manifest. So exalted be He over all that they ascribe as partners. Say, O my Lord, if you decide to show me what they are threatened with, my Rabb, do not put me among the unjust people. And of course, we do not have power to show you that with which we have threatened them. Repel evil with that which is best. We are well aware of what they allege. So repel evil with what is best. Now this is an art being taught to all of us, that what Quran is teaching us is the art of preaching. Opposition is reduced, will be eliminated by our good behavior, by a good mannerism, by a good akhlaq. Reply injustice with justice. Reply cruelty with mercy. Do not lower your standard of moral conduct. Do not stoop down to their level. وَقُرْ رَبِّي أَعُوذُ بِكَ مِنْ حَمَزَاتِ الشَّيَاطِينِ. And say, my Lord, I seek refuge in you from the suggestions of the shaitan. Shaitan will only give you suggestions. That's the thing. That's the weapon that shaitan uses. Just give suggestions to people. وَأَعُوذُ بِكَ رَبِّي أَنْ يَحْضُرُونَ. And I seek refuge in you, my Lord, even from their coming near me. Now, sometimes the attitude and people and behaviors of people, it brings anger in them. It brings anger and resentment, because that's what shaitan wants to encourage. Shaitan encourages such emotions so that our attention shifts, and it shifts from taking a beneficial message to fight. Because in a state of anger, our ability to accept and recognize truth is lost. Everyone is on kind of a zid, Everyone will have an inflexible and a stubborn attitude. Now that's one part of it, that's one extreme. The other extreme is also good akhlaq. Good akhlaq to an extent that one begins to compromise on anything and everything. And this is also what shaitan desires. So these are two extremes. And that our ability to distinguish between right and wrong is lost. One is in state of complete inflexibility and anger, and the other one is in a state of complete compromise. Hence, this is a dua to, for us to seek refuge from the shaitan. Until when death comes to one of them, he will say, my Lord, send me back, so that I may act righteously in that which I have left behind. By no means. It's simple a word he utters, and in front of such people there is a barrier, till the day when they will be resurrected. So these people, when they reach after death, they reach to this barzakh, they will plead to Allah. They'll ask Allah, give me one more chance. The time that I wasted in this world, I will use that time to do good deeds. But Allah says this is just an excuse. Because once the connection with the world is cut off, people are in twilight zone. The ruh is in a twilight zone. This is the time of exam is over. I mean, people spend their entire exam time looking at the pencil and how beautiful the eraser is and what kind of a paper they are having. But that was the time to actually do the exam. Now the time for exam is over. The results will be known soon on the day of resurrection. Thereafter, when the trumpet is blown, no ties of kingship will remain between them anymore, nor will they inquire about one another. So it will be a time when people will only be concerned about saving themselves. Once this trumpet is blown, then there is no relationship that is more important than getting oneself free on that day. No kingships will be there, no relationship will be there, and no one will inquire about one another. So the ones whose scale of deeds turn out to be heavy, then such people are the successful ones. And the ones whose scale turn out to be light, then such people are the ones who harm their own selves, abiding in Jahannam forever. So weight of the amal is important. It's not just the quantity, it's the weight that's important. It must be pure. Some people will have huge quantity of good deeds, but they will be weightless, they will not be heavy, and that will be a challenge. Fires will scorch their faces, and they will be disfigured in it. And it will be said to such people, were my verses not recited to you, and you used to reject them? They will say, our Lord, our wretchedness prevailed upon us, and we were a people wandering astray. Our Lord, get us out of here. If we do this again, then of course we will be transgressors. He, Allah, will say, stay in it, humiliated, and do not speak with me. There was indeed a group of my servants who used to say, our Lord, we adhere to the true faith, so forgive us and have mercy upon us. And you are the best of all the merciful. But you made fun of them, so much so that they caused you to forget my remembrance, and you used to laugh at them. I think this is so important, these last two ayats. We need to think about these two ayats. We need to be very careful making fun of pious people. We often make fun of Maulvis and ulama and all these things. We need to be very careful making fun of pious people, because the consequence of this could be extremely bitter. Today I have recompensed them for their observing patience. Verily they are the successful ones. He, which means Allah, will say, how many days did you stay on the earth? They will say, we stayed for a day or part of a day. So ask those who keep count. He will say, you did not stay but for a little, if only you had known. So now today Qiyamah seems distant for us. But if we know that tomorrow is Qiyamah, our attitude will be very different. And that's the thing that we need to feel. Feel the closeness of our own personal Qiyamahs. أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ أَبَسًا وَأَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجَعُونَ. And do you think that we created you in vain, and that you will not be brought back to us? This is a question being asked over here. Do you think you are purposeless, you are just useless, that you were just created to come in this world and party and have fun and then go back? Do you think that we created you in vain and you will not be brought back to us? Now think about the Creator who did not even make a blade of grass useless. Every bit of grass that has been created by Allah has a purpose to it. It's not in vain. So will Allah create man without any purpose? So exalted be Allah the King. There is no God but He, the Lord of the noble throne. And whoever invokes other God with Allah, while he has no proof for it, his reckoning is only with his Lord. Surely the unbelievers will not achieve success. Remember over here it said, whoever invokes other God with Allah. People are also believing in Allah, also asking Allah, but also asking these small deities and people of the mazar, etc. This is an ayat addressed to them. So the last ayat of Surah Mu'minun and this evening, وَقُلْ رَبِّ اغْفِرْ وَارْحَمْ وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الرَّاحِمِينَ, and say, my Lord, pardon and have mercy, for you are the best of all the merciful. So we look at this ayat, and it's such a beautiful dua. Surah Mu'minun is full of so many duas over here, and at the end also we look at this dua, وَقُلْ رَبِّ اغْفِرْ وَارْحَمْ وَأَنْتَ خَيْرُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. Our Lord, have pardon, have mercy, and you are the best of all the merciful. So we end Surah Mu'minun with this beautiful prayer. So barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Quran al-Azim wa nafana wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikr al-Hakim.